The viral dot cake has taken the internet by storm. I have not seen a trend this big in a very long time. Originating in New York, it consists of a layer of vanilla sponge cake and then vanilla buttercream, followed by lots of hundreds and thousands of sprinkles on the top. It's super simple and effective. It tastes so good. It's light and fluffy. And on that note, I'm going to show you how to make them. If you didn't already know, I'm Sophia, the owner of Soph's Goodies, and welcome back to my cozy kitchen. So the first thing we need to do is make our sponge. And for this cake, we want it to be really light and fluffy, as thick as we can get it, because we want to make sure we get a really nice thick bit of cake in our little pots later. So we've actually got margarine for this recipe rather than butter, which helps create the lightest sponge possible that we can get. And we've also got caster sugar, which again helps create a really nice light sponge. So we're going to add the margarine into the bowl, followed by the caster sugar. We're also going to add a drop of vanilla extract before we mix, which is just going to help create a really nice flavor for our sponge. And then we're going to take an electric mixer, either a stand mixer or a hand mixer, mix everything together until it's completely light and fluffy. You'll notice that the mixture changes color from yellow to a sort of light pale yellow, almost bordering on white, and that's actually what we want. It's going to take around 3 to 4 minutes, but that's actually what we're looking for because it's what helps get that air into the batter and create the lightest sponge that we can possibly get. At this point, you're going to be left with a really nice light and fluffy mixture, and to this we're going to be adding 3 medium room temperature eggs, one by one into the mixture and mixing in between with our hand mixer just until they're incorporated. We don't want to over mix here, so as soon as it's done, then just stop mixing. And if you start looking at your mixture and panicking that it looks curdled, don't worry, that's completely normal because when we go in with our dry ingredients, that fixes any curdled looking consistency. So now we're going to go in with our self-raising flour, and we're going to fold this in with a spatula rather than using the electric mixer. And the reason for this is we don't want to incorporate too much air into the batter, which will then make it really sort of dense and thick. By just folding this in with a spatula, it creates that really nice light and fluffy consistency that we're looking for and ensures that we don't over mix the batter basically. And the thing to remember with cake sponge is all the ingredients are equal quantities. So we've got 200 grams of margarine, 200 grams of sugar, 200 grams of flour, and then 3 eggs. And that is the formula to the perfect sponge. And then once we've added that in, like I said, we're just going to fold that through with a figure of 8, making sure there's no lumps until we're left with a really nice smooth cake batter. So we're now just going to grease and line a standard baking tray with margarine and then go in with parchment paper afterwards. Just making sure we've got a thin layer of margarine going around throughout. It doesn't need to be completely soaked with margarine, but just enough to ensure that we can get the parchment paper to stick to the actual sides of the tin and make sure that getting the cake out is as easy as possible. And then for the parchment paper, I'm going to create a rectangle, cut some little slits on both sides and just press it in, which helps it stick down nice and smoothly. The cake is ready to go in the oven. We're going to bake it at 160 for a fan oven or 180 for a convection oven for around 20 to 25 minutes. I'll let you know once it's out how long it took. And then in the meantime, we're going to move on to making our buttercream. So at this point, we've got our lovely cake sponge. It took about 35 to 40 minutes to cook actually. You can never really tell with cakes like this. Sometimes they'll take like 15 minutes, sometimes they could take an hour. It can be really hard to gauge. While that's cooling down, we're going to move on to making our buttercream. For our buttercream, we've got 150 grams of softened room temperature butter. We don't want it too soft that it's melted because we won't get a nice buttercream. We also don't want it too firm as we can't really whip it up, make it nice and soft and fluffy. We're going to be making a really, really nice, smooth and creamy buttercream today. And so having our butter at the right temperature is super important for that. So we're going to add that into a large mixing bowl. We're going to beat our butter in this bowl for about 5 to 10 minutes until it completely changes color. It's actually crazy how this happens. It starts off this quite dark yellow color. And it's actually going to change as we whip it to an almost off-white. We want a really nice or white buttercream for these dot cakes. And also it doesn't just help us with the color, it gives us a really nice, soft, creamy, whipped texture. Almost like ice cream. It's absolutely incredible. Then once we've got it to our desired color and texture, we're going to gradually add in our icing sugar, whisking as we go. Not doing it all at once. I'm going to do about half, whisk it, then do the other half. And then once it's been fully incorporated, whisk for another about 3 to 5 minutes, just to make sure it's all fully incorporated. And then we're going to be left with a absolutely delicious, silky smooth, ice cream-like buttercream. It's going to be nice and soft and malleable. We don't want it to be like firm, so we can't like spread it over our cakes. To finish, I'm just going to add in a little bit of vanilla extract to give it some flavor, and also the tiniest bit of purple food coloring. You might be wondering why we do that. This is a really, really good little baking hack for buttercream. Basically, the purple neutralizes the yellow in the buttercream, making it as white as possible so that we're left with the best color that we can get. The problem is it's a very fine line between adding too much and too little. You don't want to add too much because then the purple can make it go a bit gray. So I would always recommend starting off with a smaller amount than you need because you can always add more, but you can't take it back. It's now time to start assembling the dot cakes. Very exciting. So this is what our sponge is looking like. nice and golden and fluffy. As you can see, I have got these little pots, and these are what we're going to be using for our dot cakes. They're the perfect thickness, and I think the thickness of this is going to match up perfectly with the thickness of the sponge. What we're actually going to do is get our pots, put them on top of the actual cake as so, and then what we're going to do is press them into the cake as deep as we can, making sure we sort of twist it and get everything out of there that we need, and then that's going to come out and actually fill our little tubs perfectly, so we haven't got to worry about it being too big. It's just going to be the perfect size. Once we've got that in there, we're basically going to spread a layer of buttercream over the top of each dot cake, making sure it's nice and smooth using a palette knife. And then for the fun bit, we're going to basically put a load of sprinkles onto a plate and then just literally dip our dot cakes into the sprinkles, and it will cover the top perfectly. And so that is how to make the viral dot cakes. They're actually a lot easier to make than you might think. They're so delicious. They've got that fluffy cake, the vanilla buttercream, and those gorgeous crunchy sprinkles on the top. These are perfect for like a birthday party or a late night snack if you keep a few in the fridge. They smell incredible, they taste incredible, they are incredible, and they're viral for a reason. I hope you enjoyed coming along with me to learn how to make these today. Let me know in the comments if you're going to give these a try yourselves, and also if there's any particular bakes you guys would like me to make, just drop them in the comments. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you next week for a new video.